You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, live financial news talk radio. Questions, comments, or to be part of the show, 504-260-0995. GregoryRicks.com is the website. You can also connect with us through the Winning at Life app. Brandon Bergeron, Wealth Advisor with Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, is joining us in studio today. Also this hour, Dwayne Stein studio. Again, questions, comments, 504-260-0995 is our number, or you can connect with us at GregoryRicks.com.
Hey, y'all. I'm not picking up feed there. There we are. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show this morning. Out of breath. Running up to the studio. I made one of my favorite breakfasts this morning. Leftover cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So that's what set me a couple seconds behind. You know, we've had those talks before on breakfast. Like, what's breakfast? This thing we're all trained, eggs and bacon and biscuits or toast or grits. Like, why not cheeseburger in the morning? Okay, financial show here. A lot to talk about today. We have Dwayne Stein, host of Mortgage Gumbo, on with us this morning. So we're going to talk all things mortgages. If you need to connect to us, you can do so through the Winning at Life app. Text, email, call the show. Last week we had technical problems on the website. I can bring you up to speed on what happened there. As it turned out, we were down for the weekend. Why? GoDaddy had a software glitch and affected a number of their lines of products. It so happened it coincided with my automatic renewal of the domain. Unbelievable. And that's what I had found out on Monday when I spoke to them, and then we did get it up running. But it caused all kind of glitches. The emails had to be redirected, reconnected, you know, the DNS this and the DNS that. I don't know all that terminology, but I know I had to get a number of people involved to get everything corrected. So if you missed something from last week or went and checked the website was down, well, it's up, been back up since Monday morning. And you can check out more about Winning at Life, Gregory Ricks, and my firm, Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, on my day job. Go to the website. Go to the In the Media tab. There's a number of articles on the blog that we're going to discuss this morning. And a little background on the show. We've been doing this for almost 12 years. For all the listeners and new listeners, it's a 3-hour show. So, yeah, a lot's going on this morning. Hour 2, I'm going to have Jude Heath, CPA. So, you know, it's tax time. So we're bringing him in. We're going to have a discussion. So he's one of our regular show contributors as well. And one of my wealth advisors typically sets in with me nowadays. And we have Brandon Allen out there. I was talking to, and I'm not sure if it was Angie or Darnita at the office at the moment, but it's not the first time I've heard this. And when somebody call in and set an appointment, well, put me with one of the good one, you know. And actually, they're all good, and actually, they're all great because what they speak as I do. I'm always involved in the cases, and more importantly, we always follow a process. Planning, advice, guidance, investments is not a mood or a whim. It is a process that we go through to make sure everybody's taken care of. And this process built with decades of knowledge, always researching and making sure we're up to date, being aware of what's going on now. So I just want to make sure you understand. It's a process, just kind of like this show is. But, you know, along with that, we're going to share up to minute thoughts with you, things we're seeing, what we anticipate coming. I have that ability. My wealth advisors have that ability also. So the magic of this show is to call and ask questions. So you have me with decades of knowledge, and you've got Brandon Allen here who speaks as me with lots of knowledge. And we're going to have Dwayne Stein on with us. The phone number to call is 504 260 0995. For newbies, here's the number again 504 260 0995. And we're up on Facebook Live right now. So you can go over to the Winning at Life page and stream the show. Like us, love us there. Also, my personal page is Gregory Ricks. Dwayne Stein, welcome this morning.
How you doing, sir? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Yeah, it's been a few weeks since we had you on the show. How are things going?
It's crazy. It was like stepping on an ant pile this week when the Fed finally listened to what you've been asking them to do for years, Gregory, and that's raise the frickin' federal funds rate, right? So like you've been talking about, we talked about, they announced that. So it's been amazing. It really has been. So super busy, and purchases are now rocking and rolling, and continue to see refinances as well. So it's been very, very busy over here at Mortgage Gumbo, which is a good thing, that's for sure.
So you're seeing more production, more mortgages, more refinances. Is this because they're like, oh my gosh, they really are going up? And we've seen this before over the years.
Yep.
And we'll get to the rates, but you're seeing more activity even though rates have gone up.
It's almost that FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So no matter, everybody's got a little bit of procrastination in them. But the bottom line is, and I think it's a credit to your show, and I like to think Mortgage Gumbo as well, for those who listen or we're educating them, and they're understanding that while that interest rate's a number on a piece of paper, and who out there don't want the lowest, well, your home has more value now than ever. So those refinances that we're seeing are cash out. But now, what I'm getting a lot of questions on is, guess what? What is this federal funds rate affect? Well, it's short-term rates. So the HELOCs, right? Those credit cards, all those are about to start going. You're about to start seeing, the short-term interest rates. The HELOCs were great when it was at zero. Well, now these things are supposed to go up, and they announced, Wednesday? At least 4 rate hikes. So it's, it's a whole new world now. And, people we hope it's like riding a bike, Gregory, because, if you don't do it for a couple years, but you got a lot of folks who, for the last 2 years, when there's zeros on student loans and zeros on forbearances and all that, now things start, people start knocking on the door going, hey, all right, time to pay the fiddler. And we've told people about this. This day was going to come. Well, now here it is. So we'll see how people react, but tons of people calling to go, let's close. Hey, you know what? Let me just get the cash out. Let's close out this HELOC instead of worrying about what it's going to do, and be done. And be done and get the cash out now at with the rates still being low.
I heard you this week, and I'm not sure because you're kind of everywhere these days with the podcast, social media.
I'm reading your book, sir. I'm reading your book on world domination.
Well, what I heard was you talking about how values have increased, and it might have even been one of your spots that, like you just mentioned, 20% more in equity. So people are saying, oh, wake up and they find their house is worth $20,000, $30,000 more. Go get you some more money. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, Gregory, we're appraising houses that even when, and I've got tools to kind of look at it, we're appraising houses. The sales are so quick right now, right? And meaning there's so much inventory and sales being done that as the recordings are happening and as the appraisers are being able to find the new data, houses are appraising for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more than what people even thought it was. So why is that cool? Well, a few reasons. number one, it could get you more money, which I've yet to meet somebody that goes, hey, I don't need any more, right? Or it is when the house comes back more, it lowers your loan to value, and it gets you a little bit of a lower interest rate possibly, maybe an eighth or something like that I'm able to give back to the client versus keeping it with the investor. So it's really, really a unique time. I mean, look, I remember the days of when the old appraisal came in and it was short a little bit, and you kind of had to go, well, sorry, we can't do this, or here's what our options are now. So to have this right now where we're at is very, very unique. And, yes, the equity it continues to grow. And last year it was 14. I think nationwide it was, in our market it was right over 14%. Nationwide it was tipping 19 to 20%. And this year they're thinking, oh, boo-hoo, it's only going to be 8%. Can you imagine? I mean, that's where the home ownership right now is amazing. So for those people who want to keep talking about bubbles and all that, not going to happen. No time soon, that is for sure.
Well, it does look like interest rates are going to move up, even though we're not seeing much. The 10-year Treasury closed yesterday at 1.771% yield. And so, and we've talked about this where we've seen the U.S. 10-year Treasury move up and start approaching 3, and then it goes back down to 1.5. When we come back from the break, I'm going to want to talk about this a little bit more, and at that point, I'm going to get Dwayne to give us some of these, the 30-year mortgage, the regular, the jumbo, and we want to talk about some length of financing. Is it good to get maybe a 15-year mortgage or a 20 or a 30? And it was interesting. I read an article on Buffett's take recently on this regarding what does he think the best mortgage is. And we've got one of the authorities on it here, Dwayne Stein, host of Mortgage Gumbo. You're listening to Winning at Life. We'll be right back. Take back control of your retirement. I'm Gregory Ricks. Join me at Fleming's Steakhouse for Wine, Wisdom, and Food Experience, Tuesday, February 8th or Thursday, February 10th at 6:30. We will have great food, wine, and talk about strategies to help you win at retirement. Visit GregoryRicks.com to reserve your seat or call the office 504-832-9200.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Gumbo Nation homeowners, what a year we just had. Some of you have gained 20% equity in your home, giving you more cash than ever before. So let that home work for you. Don't miss out. Get that new kitchen, update the paint, and space for those beautiful grandbabies to come over. You've earned a proposal by visiting Snap, Send, and Save Dad Cam. It's that easy.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can hear the Ask Gregory podcast, where you'll find episodes based on a financial topic. So if you're looking for help on a specific situation, there's a good chance you'll find it on the Ask Gregory podcast, including episodes on 401ks, taxes, stocks, Social Security, gold, and whether or not you should buy an RV. Hear the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardraw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
At the core, I always tell people, I'm not here to make you rich. I'm here to make sure you don't run out of money. that you don't run out of income. That's how I look at my job. Over time, saving, making good decisions can make you rich. But what you have is, what is your core thing? Your core thing should be making money. And your core thing, you should set aside money to work elsewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it to risk. You could put it to safety. But your core thing makes you money. Or you tell me your core thing is the market, day trading, or gambling in the market. It shouldn't be. You should have a core thing that makes you money, and you peel some off for the future when you're done with your core.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hey, y'all. You're listening to Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, financial advisor, money manager by day, founder and CEO of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. And been doing this radio show for almost 12 years. Come a long ways, evolved into a 3-hour show. We used to do a weeknight show. I retired from the weeknight show at the end of December, in case you're not aware, because I still have people come up. And I was master of ceremonies at an awesome charity that we've been involved with for years, and they asked me to be master of ceremonies of the Cancer of Crusaders celebration of life luncheon yesterday. And I had a number, when I wasn't on stage, I had a number of people would come up to me, "Oh, I listened to the show. I listen to your show every night." Well, it's been off for a few weeks, but they're probably mostly referring to the Saturday show at this time, and then sometime maybe not realize that the weeknight show went away. And core reason for that is long days for a lot of years, and I decided I'd rather be off like most everybody else earlier in the evening instead of late. So if you want to join the conversation, we have Dwayne Stein here. He's host of Mortgage Gumbo, 504-2600-995. So we've got Dwayne with us for another roughly 30 minutes here. He's going to be leaving a little bit early. But, hey, if you've got refinance questions, HELOC questions, a decision on interest rates, the phone number to call right now, you can get him. It's easy, 504-2600-995, or go ahead and download that Winning at Life app, and you can text, email, call, stream the show. And by the way, you can pick up his show by utilizing my app, and replays will be on Facebook Live after the show ends today. So, Dwayne, I mentioned the 10-year interest rates at about 1.77%. So give us a rundown on mortgage rates right now.
So rates right now, and they've sort of and have held steady over the last couple weeks. You're at, on a 30-year, you're at 3.69. Now, I know that's, for a lot of people, they're like, holy smokes, you know what I mean? But it's 3.69. 15's at 2.97. Jumbo is at 3.35. And then this is the one that, and for folks who listen to you, and I've been coming on with you for a while, I affectionately call some lenders or some things schmuckatellis here. The 5-1 ARM is 3.65. And what I want to sort of warn listeners on, or just make sure you're finding out, because I'm starting to see a lot of these quotes coming over from these other lenders where maybe they're trying to sell folks on an ARM. But think about that, Gregory. A 5-1 ARM, so your rate's fixed for 5 years, is 3.65, yet a 30 years 3.69. So I don't care if you only plan to be here for 5 years or not. To me, why worry about, you got a great saying, life happens, right? And one of the things I tell people is you got to be careful. While today you only plan to be here this long, You don't know what the future holds. And why remove your options? Maybe you want to keep that place that you're in right now if you leave in 5 years. Maybe that's going to be a second home or an investment property. You don't want to be worried about in 5 years, you know you got to refinance because chances are, and I think you'd agree with me here, we're probably never going to see these rates where they were. I mean, I think those days are over, and I think we're trying to get back to some sort of rate normalcy where, I mean, I would love to be able to maybe look at my bank statement and see instead of 0.00004, maybe 0.004,
Okay.
right? I mean, so
That 5-year ARM rate, what is that again?
3.65.
Yeah, why?
And a
Yeah,
30
I
is
agree with you.
3.69.
Because you know the rate's going up in 5 years. That's
Yes.
what that means. It's kind of if you're doing that, you're expecting it to go up. And I can't imagine buying a house and I'm gonna be out of it in 5 years. That's kind of almost like a flip. And if you don't get out of it, that rate's going up. Then you've got to go through the refinance proposition. So pricing.
And you're at their mercy. And you're at their mercy, Greg. And my concern is what it also causes, Greg, is what I don't want to see people do is usually when you're doing an ARM, you're doing it because maybe, hey, I'm going to have a little bit of an interest only or something like that, right? Yeah. That's what people have to understand. So when you're doing these ARM, you're paying interest only for so long. And what does that usually do, Gregory? That means people are buying houses they cannot afford. And we've seen that cycle before as well.
Is that different than the 30-year mortgage? Because on the front end of that, you're mostly paying interest. There's not that, principal's just being whittled down a little bit over the years. So is the ARM an interest only, or is there some principal paid in the payments?
There's some. You could set it up different ways. You can add principal to it if you want.
Okay. But from a rate standpoint, what's our 30-year rate again? It's 3.69, the same as a 5-year ARM.
Yeah.
So is qualification different?
No, not at all. No. Nope, not at all. And, it used to be when they had the teaser rate, right? Your ARM, your 5-1 ARM, people got in because maybe it was a point and a half only, interest only, where you could go, all right, hey, I'm going to do that. But no, the qualifications and all that are exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Okay, so this should eliminate the ARMs for this period of time. And maybe someday you could look at interest rates going down from a standpoint, never have to worry, and the ARMs may be a better deal. But that's not the world we're in. And I've never, in the past 20 years, been a fan of getting an adjustable rate mortgage. Why? I want to lock in a rate in permanency. So you can get a 15-year at a lower rate. You can get a 20-year at a lower rate. Yep. But your payment's going to be higher on those mortgages.
Yep, that's you're 100% correct there. And once you're locked, I mean, look, Sears built the biggest building in the world by collecting $10 a month, right? So it's hard for you to go, yeah, well, everybody in the credit card companies know this, and I think that's where we're about to see some challenges as well. Because the one thing with the Fed funds going up, guess what that affects? Credit cards, right? That's where you're going to start to see these credit cards going up, the HELOCs. So my big thing is I definitely don't want to, on my mortgage, go, yeah, I'm going to pay extra. I'm just paying the minimum right now. Good luck turning that faucet off, right? And all of a sudden going, yeah, instead of $200 now, I got to come up with $1,200. It's going to be that's tough. I don't care who you are.
Buffett has called the 30-year mortgage loan the best instrument in the world, because if you're wrong and rates go to 2%, which we don't think they will, you pay it off. Is what he said. If it goes low, you pay it off. He said it's a one-way renegotiation. I mean, it's an incredible, attractive instrument for the homeowner, and you've got a one-way bet. So if rates go down, what does Dwayne want us to do? Refinance. Get a better deal. See, essentially, this means a 30-year mortgage works out well for homeowners because they get a low rate while the bank assumes the risk of rising interest rates. The homeowner does not. That's why we don't like the ARM. And if interest rates do happen to fall further, homeowners can simply refinance into a new loan with an even lower rate and pay off their existing debt. On the other hand, if rates go up, they keep paying the low rate that they've obtained assuming you got a fixed rate loan and their principal and interest payments won't become more expensive over time. So right there, and this is a piece from Motley Fool, by the way, but it's like, just get a 30-year mortgage. If you want to accelerate it, add more to the payments. Times get hard, you revert back. But when you look at, we have inflation, your homes basically always go up in value, right, Dwayne?
Absolutely. I mean, even if I tell people, let's look at a 3 or 4% here in Louisiana, Mississippi area is what we usually use. We're seeing way more than that over the last 5 to 10 years. But that's a safe number right there. So you're going to be going up in value. Absolutely.
The way to look at it is you're getting cheap money and you're making an investment in your home, and just utilize one of the best instruments in the world, a 30-year mortgage, and just spread it out and let time work. And you can take and do something else with that extra money. Start emergency savings, start investing. Just that's kind of like fundamental, wise decision making, starting with that home, that you want to have that home ownership there. And you want to talk about and I was reading something the other day, how does wealthy obtain like their Learjets and a vacation property and some of these expensive things you hear about on the news? They leverage it because they're getting cheap money and they can do other things with that extra money out there. Something to think about. Any added thoughts on that before we go to break here in about 40 seconds?
Nope. The only thing I would say is on the 30, I educate everybody and I show them, Gregory, the benefit of bi-weekly payments. I show them how we can turn that 30-year mortgage into a 20 or a 15 without having to take on that pressure of that 15-year note. So we can amortize it out and work it out in your favor, but you always have, like you said, Gregory, we got that fallback. So that way, if we're riding around in buggies and horse and carriages in the next couple of years, you're good to go.
Bi-weekly payments basically add up to an extra payment a year, right?
That's absolutely 13 payments in a 12-month period.
Awesome. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. If you've got a question, 504-2600-995.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Take back control of your retirement. I'm Gregory Ricks. Join me at Keith Young's Steakhouse for a wine, wisdom, and food experience. Tuesday, February 15th or Thursday, February 17th at 6:30. We'll have great food, wine, and talk about strategies to help you win at retirement. GregoryRicks.com to reserve your seat or call the office, 985-200-3110.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live 6 days a week. And if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Most people think of Crime Stoppers as only a tip reporting line, but we're so much more. Crime Stoppers GNO has worked in our area schools, offering prevention presentations on trending topics from drugs, bullying, online safety, suicide prevention, and much more. And we have a high school teen leadership program which provides students with a first-hand look at the criminal justice profession as a future career, while learning to be an advocate for their fellow students. So to learn more, visit safeschoolsla.com or call 504-837-8477.
Fox News, I'm Terrence McHugh. Widespread blizzard-like conditions are making this a day to stay indoors across much of the Northeast.
It's unbelievable out here, and it just continues to get worse. The conditions, when these wind gusts pick up, they are well over 35 miles an hour, which is what is blizzard conditions. The Atlantic Ocean, the visibility also deteriorating. We cannot see a quarter mile out there at all. And the snow drifts beginning here on the Atlantic.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray. The snow is expected to end later today. A fiery crash between a bus and two cars in Los Angeles Friday night leaves several injured.
At least two people from one of these passenger vehicles are now fighting for their lives in critical condition tonight after this crash. A total of 5 people have been taken to the hospital, including 2 children and a bus operator.
Jessica O of Fox 11. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm a financial advisor, CEO, founder of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. One of my wealth advisors, Brandon Allen, is in studio with me. We have Angie and Emily on the board this morning helping out. And we have Dwayne Stein, host of Mortgage Gumbo. You know, he's pretty good at all things mortgages. And when we went to break, we were talking about Buffett believing the 30-year mortgage is one of the best investments out there. Buffett also explained he put down a small amount of money on his home because he thought he could probably do better with the money than have it be an all-equity purchase of his house. You know, he's a millionaire since early 20s, so he could afford to write a check back in the day. And he said instead he ended up buying more shares of Berkshire Hathaway with that money, that money that he was going to put in that house that he bought, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago. He's lived in the same house forever. He said that money is worth $750 million today. This is not a conversation to cash out and invest your money because we don't want your house money. But what we're speaking of is just the different types of mortgages, the ARM, the 15, the 20. We kind of think the 30 is a good, probable decision long term, because ultimately, who's carrying the risk on the interest rates with a 30-year mortgage? The bank, the mortgage guy, that investor that bought your mortgage there. So, Dwayne, so we've kind of sealed the deal on that. What is going on the refinancing? Has any rules changed? Is there more documentation? What are people needing to know to go into this process when they call you up or go to your website?
To be honest, Gregory, we're seeing more now, and I guess it's because of our market, what's called a non-QM, which is not a traditional mortgage. No, documentation has really, I don't want to say lightened, but it's eased in the fact of now there's programs out there where, hey, just show your bank statements. You know, if you've got a certain credit score, we can do bank statements and qualify you that way. I've got people I'm working with that, hey, haven't filed taxes in a couple years. Guess what? Bank statements. So, when it comes to the refinancing, so many people are just, again, taking advantage of that equity. And one of the things that we're looking at is, unless you are for certain it's your forever home, and I like to make sure that there's options there, then let's look at the 30, and let's look at what you can do to amortize it to maybe pay it off in that 15 or 20. Because one of the things I've learned for you in all these years, and my philosophy is the same, is we understand cash is king. Nobody can tell you what to do with your money better than you can. Or, naturally, the Gregory Ricks is your financial advisor. So my job is to not just sit here and be, an order taker. So when it comes to the refinances, I want to look at, what is your plan? What is your 5-year plan? What are you going to do with these monies, right? I mean, we do get people sometimes that's like, well, the money, I want to play the stock market and stuff like that. And I'm not here to tell folks what to do, but I try to show them on, let's be careful here on certain things. And to kind of, while the refinancing and all that, I want to circle back to what Jimmy Buffett. Geez, you know where my head's at, right? A little too many giggles last night, a little Margaritaville. But anyway, with Warren Buffett, Gregory, when it comes to the 30, here's what I want listeners to please understand, because a lot of people that are buying, their family grew up with, you got to put down 20%. And why do people have to put down 20%? PMI, right? Why not 18% or 26%? It's because of the private mortgage insurance. But, Gregory, what we want to let people know is on a 30-year, and if people want, they could go to Gregory Ricks and they could find my show. Last week, we went over down payments for each loan type, and you can now put down 5% and buy out your mortgage insurance. A lot of these lenders don't advise you of that, and that's what Warren Buffett's talking about. Use your money wisely. Now, if mom and dad gave you...
Hold it. Yes, so what do you mean, buy it out? What does that look like? Put down 5% and buy it out?
Yep. Yeah, so in other words, what that means is the 20% is for the bank to hedge in case you go bad.
Yeah.
Right? That's why you have private mortgage insurance, okay? So when you buy it out, what happens is, instead of paying, I have a client right now, it was going to be $188 a month because they're buying a pretty sizable home. Their credit's fantastic. It's a $500,000 home. I showed them how they could put down 5% and buy out their mortgage insurance. So 5% on $500,000 is $25,000. To buy out their mortgage insurance is only going to cost them $3,200 versus $188 a month until they make up that equity. So let's use your money wisely. And the interest rates right now, it's not like back in the old days, Gregory, where, hey, you put 20%, it's a 0.5% cheaper than it is if you don't. Everything's running the same. You're talking an eighth here or there. So by the time I save you the money by buying out your mortgage insurance, you're actually a lot of times paying less than you would by putting down 20%.
Yeah, I have a little more information here. I just found it. Buffett bought his home in 1971 for $150,000. He didn't follow Dwayne's advice there. He put $30,000 down on his house at that time. And I'm looking at another Motley Fool article where it's kind of back and forth, where Dave Ramsey is not a fan of that. So we can give the other side. Dave Ramsey wants you to pay it off sooner in that case. He doesn't necessarily like a 30-year mortgage, but we kind of like use some examples of Buffett, being one of the richest fellas on the planet, where 90% of his wealth, he's accumulated 90% of his wealth after he qualified for Social Security. So that's a point right there that you still have to make good decisions after you qualify for Social Security, because I'm just telling you, you're going to live a long time. And people retiring with mortgages is not unheard of. You just need to make sure it fits into your budget, into your lifestyle. Hey, real quick here, before I know we're going to lose you here in about 3 minutes. You've got other obligations this morning. You're a real popular, busy guy these days. Hey, these what is it? These condos that people can buy interest into. What are those things called? They can or they buy the right to have that place once a year.
Oh, timeshares?
Yeah, timeshares. That's and when we come back, Brent, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. What is your thoughts on timeshares? I'll just tell you. I'm going to give you a hint. I don't like it. So in your last couple minutes, you have any thoughts on those?
Yeah, look, I for years, my summer job in college was being out on a street selling visitors to hop into a van and go see timeshares. So I'm very familiar with timeshares.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you that is how are your thoughts today on that?
I think it depends on, it's like anything, Gregory. Everybody's into it now, right? Everybody wants to sell their 100-room hotel. Think about it, 52 times a year. So it comes down to what corporations are you with. And if you're with the bigger folks, your Hiltons and stuff like that, I think you're a little bit safer than what you are if you're just going to, Joe Blow that you're visiting in San Antonio and saying, hey, let me buy in on this. So I think it's gotten the corporations are in it now, so I think that makes it a tad safer. But there's a lot of taxes, sir. There's a lot of fees. There's a lot of just stuff. And New Orleans is years ago, it was always every year the number one place to purchase timeshares. And the reason being is timeshares come with what's called maintenance. Well, New Orleans, you basically get a hotel room because if you come to New Orleans, you're never there. So people always bought here because they got to go visit maybe North Carolina or Tennessee where they had a ski slope or horses where those maintenance fees were a lot higher. So that's why New Orleans was always so attractive because you were basically buying a room versus having to pay all the maintenance like you do when you own a condo at a beach and stuff like that.
If you pick up anything from Dwayne, you got to know what those back-end costs are going to be. How do they reach out to you for help?
MortgageGumbo.com. Obviously, Gregory Ricks is Winning at Life app or 504-207-7600.
You're listening to Winning at Life.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
Most everybody's wealth is tied to their 401ks. And if you have a chance to put money into a 401k and you decide not to, you're robbing yourself because there's one important part that you might not be aware of. Yeah, you got to put your money in, but typically they're matching it. There's a phrase, if it's free, it's for me. Well, that's what the matching is in your 401k, and it's a significant impact. You should at least be getting every bit of that match. And if you're not doing so, do something about it tomorrow and get that started.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Oh, Rover, you have fleas again? Prevent fleas and ticks from setting up shop in your backyard. Those bloodsuckers can bite up to 400 times a day and carry nasty diseases like typhus and tapeworms. Give Rover some relief and contact Mosquito Joe. Their mosquito control services also kill and prevent fleas and ticks. Let Mosquito Joe be your first line of defense against those blood-sucking pests. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Would this be your Social Security, your 401k, pension, lump sum, your debt, student debt, credit cards?
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years. Sometimes I'll pull over to the side of the road and just listen.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
My age that I can claim Social Security is 66. If I wait to 67, I'll get an additional 8%. But you have to wait the full year. Do they prorate it like if you do it at 66 and a half, do you get 4%?
You get a credit for each month you defer. And here's a little technicality. Delayed retirement credits don't get calculated and applied till the beginning of the next calendar year. So if you're deferring and getting delayed retirement credits and then you turn it on middle of another year, those delayed credits will be factored in the beginning of next year and made up for what you didn't have and paid at that higher rate at the next calendar year.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. This is Winning at Life. Hey, we appreciate Dwayne Stein being with us. Catch his show. You can find out more about that on my In the Media page through the Winning at Life app. You can go to mortgagegumbo.com and get more information on his show. And he's an animated guy. He's a little bit different, but he's going to do good by you on that. And he's been a show contributor for our show. I don't know how many years, but a long time, a lot of years. And we also always appreciate his insight to what's going on and to get tips. And look, he's handled a mortgage for me recently as well. So I have high confidence in him. And I was in a situation where I bought a property. I did not do the front end thing of like to go get pre-qualified. And it was just kind of a spur of moment. I looked at a property. Stacy's my wife, and we kind of loved it. An hour later, we had a deal done, and I'm like, we better get some money because I can't write a check for this. So, and I didn't want to anyhow in that case. And then, but we got all that handled. Not necessarily the best way to do it. The best way is to go get pre-qualified so you know what you're capable of buying, and then when you're making an offer, they have confidence that you're going to get the deal done because you walked in with a paper. Hey, I'm pre-approved. Let's get this deal done. You know, when we did that deal, that was kind of, I received a phone call, said, hey, you need to look at this property. I said, Stacy, well, guess what? We're going out the country today. And that, I was not expecting to want to buy something or do, so it was kind of a spur of the moment. In most cases, people are probably on the hunt, in the mood, like, we need to find a house, or we need to buy a house, we need to buy another house. So you probably have an idea if you're going to do that. Mine was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. And then, you need tax returns and verification of income. And I had to call my tax guy, tax attorney, and kind of like, hey, I need that stuff moved up. What does it take to get on top of the list to get all those documents and everything put together? So just some thoughts there. Going back to, well, once again, you're listening to Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. Here's the phone number to join the conversation, 504-260-0995. Next hour, yeah, we have one of my favorite, I'll say tax guys, but they don't always like that. He's a CPA. He is awesome. And I really respect him and value his guidance. And I think you should too. It's Jude Heath's going to be with us in the next hour. And, it's tax time coming up. And, he is been a contributor to the show for years. We value his insight, and we work together on client cases and stuff like that, because tax efficiency, super important. One of the things we do for every client, and if you're coming into the office for the first time, we're going to want to see you to bring your 1040. Why? We want to run a tax efficiency analysis to see where there's opportunities to potentially save taxes, or do some Roth conversions, or look into what's next year, the year after. We want to do forward looking as well. And that's what we kind of think of, that, that traditional annual review. Well, we look at the annual review differently. The review part takes a few minutes. Heck, we've got a portal, the guided planning system portal on my website. You can go there if you're a client and see what's going on with your accounts anytime. But really what we want to shift to in that review is, we call it a strategy meeting, strategy tactical meeting. And that's how we think about it, as what's going on, what things are we looking at adjusting this year or next year, the year after. Give you some direction on what we're thinking, where we see things going, what things in your situation are needing to be adjusted as well. Going back to this timeshare deal, here's one of my concerns, and Dwayne wasn't negative completely on it, as I might be, because he came from that industry and maybe sees a purpose in timeshares. I can't get there from that standpoint. Here, conceptually, if you're buying a timeshare, that, hey, I want to stay out in Yellowstone the third week of July every year. So you're saying, well, I want to get a timeshare out there and buy that right. You're probably putting up some upfront money. You're making like a forever commitment. I don't know when it ends, and that's a problem for it. And then there's these fees that happen, and guess what's going to happen with fees over time? They're going to go up. If I want to do that, here's how I look at it. Let's switch it from Yellowstone to that condo on the beach, which or a vacation place, beach-like, because there's so many condominiums, and I think it's where most of this goes on from that standpoint. And Dwayne says it goes on in New Orleans a lot. Well, if I like in that area and I find a place that I really like, well, I'm probably booking it. I might book it the next 2-3 years out and keep that going. You know why? Because I can always cancel it, and there might be a deposit fee, and they'll give you typically, if I want to cancel it, how much notice do I have to give you to get my money back? Think of it that way from that standpoint. And if I find a place I like, I'm like, okay, I want to go here every year. I don't need to buy the right, pay them upfront money, and have some back-end fees going, and then and not have an exit out of it. We have people come to us time to time asking about that, and talk with Wes Blanchard about it. The show contributor, Wes Blanchard, he's an estate planning attorney that's on our show and helps work with us on clients as well. And there was a conversation that recently where he had looked at one and said, he said that one's ugly to get out of. Somebody had asked him about a situation where they have one, and he said, I couldn't help them. I don't see how they can get out of it. If I'm buying something, I always think about, here's one rule: how do I exit? If you're buying a house, are you confident in the price you're buying at that you could sell it for that in the future? To be able to do a deal. I did a deal on a property a few years back, and I ended up selling it a short time later, but because I bought another property, larger property close to that one. So I shed that one. But one of the questions I was asked, the realtor said, hey, we could get you out of this if you want to. I said, no, I'm good. I'm positioned to where I'm going to get out of it at a later time. And I did. I sold it for a couple grand profit later. Why? I felt good about where I was at. So I made a little bit of money on it. I wasn't trying to make a lot. I was just looking for a place to build a house, and I built it on another property that was much larger nearby. So that's, once again, think of how do I get out? Car purchase. Think about how are you getting out of timeshare. You're doing a timeshare. You probably shouldn't, but if you do, how do you exit? Do not do that deal under pressure. Do not do that deal without reading the documents. Do not do that deal on a timeshare without getting a second opinion. I don't care if it's Disney putting the deal together for you, but I'm kind of like, how I think about it, if I want to stay at one of their properties, well, I'll rent it from them every year. I've got a place on a Florida beach somewhere, and I don't know right there. I think it's somewhere in the Fort Walton area. I've got a reservation for a week next year, and I'm probably going to do that place for years to come. So I kind of already have that deal done. I didn't have to write a check up front. I don't have some lifetime agreement, and they're not charging me fees that are going, if they raise the rent on it in subsequent years, I get to decide, do I want to keep doing this one? And if I find one I like nicer, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch to that one if that's what it's about, or a better location. So, just think about this timeshare thing. It's not quite the same as buying a house. You're buying the right to rent it for a week, a year, except you can't get out of it. And how many years might you want to do that? The new might wear off, kind of like, gosh, we've been here 5 years. Can we go someplace else? No, we have this place from now on. And then you get the fee increase. How long is it going to keep increasing? Well, probably from now on. Hey, if we can be of help, we're going to be here another 2 hours today. That's right, another 2 hours. Give us a call, 504-260-0995. If you want to see me at my office, here's the phone number for my office. Call and set up a call or an appointment, 504-832-9200. 504-832-9200, GregoryRicks.com. You're listening to Winning at Life.
From the Gregory Ricks & Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO-FM, New Orleans, an iHeartRadio station.
A monster storm is burying parts of the East. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. Mother Nature has whipped up a nor'easter that could end up in the record books. Wind-driven snow is making driving in some spots virtually impossible. Fox Weather's Ian Oliver is in New Jersey.
In Monmouth County, we've got at least a foot of snow recorded here. The forecast was for 10 to 18 inches. That's verified already. The wind forecast verifying as well. The wind has been relentless.
10 states are under blizzard warnings. New England could see the brunt of the storm.
It is not heavy snow. It's actually powdery. But the problem is that when these winds kick up and they are sustained, they are just intense.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in Gloucester, Massachusetts, where one of the main concerns is power outages. A full-scale invasion of Ukraine is possible. That's according to top Pentagon officials who say Russia's Vladimir Putin has amassed enough firepower near Ukraine's border.
The U.S. military's top officer calling it the largest buildup of Russian forces since the Cold War. Over 100,000 now massed on Ukraine's border. President Biden says he's ordered some American troops to pack their bags. The Russian defense ministry releasing video showing air defense units arriving in Belarus by rail, following reports the railroad had been hacked. Thousands of Russian troops and dozens of strike aircraft now on the ground in Belarus, the border just 60 miles from Ukraine's capital city.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. An American woman who authorities say moved to Syria and pledged allegiance to ISIS has been brought back to the U.S. Allison Fluke Ekren is charged with providing material support to a terrorist organization. She allegedly trained women and even children how to use assault rifles. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, y'all. Welcome. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. We've been doing this show for almost 12 years now. For newbies, it's a financial talk show. Live most of the time, and today it is a live show. Today, approach to being a best of is best of, we'd tell you, but we're live. And what's important about that, one of the neat things about the show over the years, the callers calling in and asking questions. And it's a safe place to do that. Nobody's sharing your information. Whatever you give my board up is just between us. The only thing I'm going to mention on air is the first name. And we kind of like to mention the town you're from as well in that case. So if you're calling from Gulf Shores, we'll say, Tom from Gulf Shores. That's all we're going to say. Nobody else gets your information. They may ask for a little bit more information, but that's only for me. So feel confident in that. But what's important about the callers, others are wanting to hear your question. They're just afraid to ask. So real easy. Just call 504-260-0995. That's right, 260-0995. Got to put that area code in front of it if you're out of the 504 area. We have Jude Heath with us this hour. We're streaming over on Facebook Live. If you want to watch the show some, hey, everybody that's watching the show this morning. If you need to get away from your radio or computer, you can also stream it through the Winning at Life app. The app will help you out with that. And I don't want to forget one of our new markets that we've added on to the Saturday show a few weeks ago, and that's the Baton Rouge audience. Welcome to the Winning at Life show. So we appreciate you having on board. And my day job, I'm a financial advisor, money manager, founder, CEO of Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. We have offices in Baton Rouge, Mandeville, Louisiana, Metairie, Louisiana, that's the New Orleans area, and Gulfport, Mississippi. So we're on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi as well. But from a reach is we work with clients all over the country because technology makes it so easy. And if you're not wanting to call in the show, but you're looking for help, we like to take your questions, even at the office, right, Brandon? I have Brandon Allen here in studio with me. So kind of if somebody wants to just, because sometimes I'll say, hey, we want to do if you want to do a 15-minute phone call, we'll set that up. How does that typically go, Brandon?
Absolutely, yeah. We encourage people just to call in if you have any questions at all. You do not have to be a client to call in and run a question by us and just, pick our brain. We're happy to hear you out and see how we can help you make better decisions on whatever questions or concerns you actually might have.
Cool. Now, if you're needing more time, they'll ask permission to expand the time if the conversation's good. Now, they also might only have that 15 minutes, and if you need to do more or take this further, they can schedule another call or shift it to a Zoom meeting or an in-office meeting. We're really big on those, and our calendar's full up with those as well because, I think it's one of the cool things, and I like that about the Zoom meeting because it's kind of like an in-person because you can see each other, definitely can see the advisor will have a video on, but you can come into any one of our offices, and once again, there's one number that it takes to do that, and it's just simple. If you've got a question, you don't have to become a client to get some questions answered, to get some help. It's just a place to start and you don't have to continue forward. You don't have to talk to us after the 15-minute call. You do a Zoom or come in for a visit. You don't have to come back in. They'll ask you if you'd like to continue the conversation and see some of these reports and analysis that are run for you, but they will ask and go in the direction that you'd like to go, because basically we help, we serve. That's what our passion is at Gregory Ricks and Associates Total Wealth Authority. We're in this business because we want to help you do better. So that office number, one more time, is 504-832-9200. Shifting over to the show, I'll check to see if we've got any text or emails. You can email me, info@gregoryricks.com. If you've got a question you want to send through email. Texting is done through the Winning at Life app. I'm in the financial services industry. I can't give out my personal cell number for the purpose of texting, nor can any of my team members on my firm. That's the wealth advisors, that's the service department, because SEC guidelines, FINRA, all that. Have I covered that? Mm-hmm. The organization that oversees that, it's a problem on they want to monitor that. So they monitor all of our emails. And so we can have conversations with you, but we cannot text you. So through the Winning at Life app, you can text me, but I'm not responding to any text. But the text you send me actually is converted to an email is how I see it. Mm-hmm. And of course, the governing authorities that like to oversee what we do, in case there's an audit or question or concern about something, they can see that email out there that's captured, because we're all, if you're reaching out to me, it's kind of about doing business. We've got the phones lighting up. We've got Jude Heath here with us. So if you've got a tax situation, and we've got some concerns about things going forward, we've got some concerns about the IRS and their capabilities. There's letters being sent out regarding the child care credit as well. We want to talk about also. Well, let's go to the calls. We've got, once again, join us at 504-260-0995.
Greg in Maurepas, you're on with Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Hey, Greg, how can we help you?
Yes, I tuned in a little bit late this morning, so I didn't hear the first part of your show, and I don't know if y'all have covered this, but I did hear that the interest rates are supposed to be going up 4 times this year, and my wife and I have a couple $100,000 in CDs, and we have them on short term, like 6-month periods, and we're wondering if those 4 rate increases will also affect CD rates that they pay out.
Brandon, what are you seeing on rates right now when you have meetings with clients regarding CDs and such that are coming up? Because we know those rates are low.
Yeah, typically it depends on the term, Gregory, but honestly, you're looking anywhere from 2 to, 2.9% on the high side, and that's a 5-year CD-like tool. So, you're not really seeing rates, as far as like a good fixed rate in today's current environment because of where interest rates are. Now, if interest rates start to go up, you may see where those fixed rate tools will give you more as far as a fixed rate standpoint, but in today's environment, they're not real high. So it doesn't always make sense to lock into a fixed rate in today's current environment.
Yeah, I've got some, let's see, what rates are we looking at here? Alley Bank on a 12-month is 0.55. And actually, they're high. They've got listed here Capital One, Citibank, Bank of America, and there's virtually nothing there. Let me shift over and let's just see what a 3-year looks like on that. They're still under 1% on those. Wow. From a savings standpoint. So where are you wanting to be on yield, Greg?
Well, I'm 80 years old, so I don't want to get involved in some long-term thing. But I'm sticking mostly with the CDs. So I was thinking, because the feds are going up 4 times this year, I thought that may be also affecting the CD rates, which is what we were hoping for.
Yeah, you're going to see some movement up. Now, that's once again a prediction on what the Fed will do. We're probably going to, for certain, kind of see, and this, once again, I'm going to give a range, 2 to 3 is my thought. I'm still not quite sure we're going to get 4, because we're also impacting a lot of things that could be negative, like the markets, from the standpoint of interest rates going up. But now we've got something that I kind of define as multi-year guaranteed annuities, and I kind of call them CD annuities. And some of those rates, like on a 3-year, looks like yield to surrender is like 2.5%. With one company, I'm seeing another at 2.5%. On a 3-year, if you were to do a 5-year, we're getting up to 2.75. When we have some rate increases, those are going to bump up a little better. That's a little better than bank rates. And you're, instead of a bank backing it up, you have an insurance company backing it up. You have any thoughts there on those tools, Brandon?
No, they work very similar in concept, that you're getting a fixed rate over a set period of time. Like Greg said, typically those are going to pay you a higher rate than your CD at the bank. But yeah, I mean, as far as the movement, it's going to be incremental based on what interest rates end up doing in the next year or so.
So one of the thoughts is you might, and if you want to stay short term, and I know anytime you defer and lock in a period, you're kind of there for a period of time. But to see this filter through was probably a year to 2 years for these adjustments from the Fed to show up and take effect. If we yeah. Any other questions there?
No, look, and thanks for the phone call.
Okay. Thanks for listening. And if you need more information, some more help, or drill deeper, call my office, 504-832-9200. Mark from Pearl River. We're going to be right back and take your call when we come back from the break. Give us, I think it's about 2-3 minutes.
And you still have time to speak with Jude Heath, TPA with J. Heath and Company. Questions, comments, or be part of the show, give us a call. 504-260-0995, GregoryRicks.com, or connect with us through the Winning at Life app. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Take back control of your retirement. I'm Gregory Ricks. Join me at Fleming's Steakhouse for Wine, Wisdom, and Food Experience, Tuesday, February 8th, or Thursday, February 10th at 6:30. We will have great food, wine, and talk about strategies to help you win at retirement. Visit GregoryRicks.com to reserve your seat or call the office 504-832-9200.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Wow. How great would it be to get a rate quote on a home loan without giving some dude or dudette your whole life story, wasting hours finding loan documents just to get a hard sell on why you need to use them? At SnapSendAndSave.com, there's absolutely no credit pull or no cost to you. I'll give you your options on rates, terms, and costs. So visit SnapSendAndSave.com. Follow the instructions, and you can thank me later when we chat.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can hear the Ask Gregory podcast, where you'll find episodes based on a financial topic. So if you're looking for help on a specific situation, there's a good chance you'll find it on the Ask Gregory podcast, including episodes on 401ks, taxes, stocks, Social Security, gold, and whether or not you should buy an RV. Hear the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
2 questions. Do you have a pulse? Do you own anything? If you said yes to both, you probably need a will. You may even need a trust. We all know a lawyer. Do you know someone who specializes in estate planning? Do you really trust the husband of your sister's friend from college? Or would you feel better putting your family in the hands of the estate planning attorney of the Total Wealth Authority? I'm Wes Blanchard. What's your plan? Offices in Metairie and at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
To determine if your Social Security will be subject to taxation, you have to be aware of the provisional income levels. The following forms of income figure into your provisional income calculation. And the way we get to that is 1/2 of your Social Security income, any distributions taken out of your tax-deferred accounts like IRAs, 401ks, any 1099 or interest generated from your taxable investments, any employment income, any rental income, and get this, interest from municipal bonds, those have to be figured in to determine if Social Security is going to be taxable.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. 3 services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Me, makes me feel alive. I've been losing sleep.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. This is Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I have Jude Heath, CPA, in studio with me today. Yeah, we had Dwayne Stein in the first hour. Great show. You can catch it on the replay over on Facebook Live, which you can watch the show also now. I have Brandon Allen, one of the wealth advisors on my team at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority. We're taking your calls here, 504-2600-995. Mark in Pearl River, how can we help you today?
Yes, I got my 1099-G for unemployment paid in 2021, and I had to pay some of that back. But there's nothing on the 1099-G showing what I paid back, so how do I claim that on my income tax if I don't have something from the state?
Ooh, I knew this was going to be a Jude Heath question. Go ahead, Jude. Tackle this one.
So it's going to be tough to get a corrected 1099-G out of Mississippi unemployment. So what I would encourage you to do is that if you file your tax return, that income shows up on other income, and that other income line has an adjustment line that you can put that subtraction of the payback in. Just be very specific, because the IRS is going to read that and say, paid back unemployment benefits to the state of Mississippi, and they will read that, and it should go through scot-free.
Yeah, and I am in Louisiana, so it's Pearl River, Louisiana. So is that a difference or same thing?
No difference at all. It's going to be more difficult to get a corrected 1099-G from Louisiana. So just go into that other adjustments line. It's the line where IRAs are, and just put that subtraction of the paid back benefits in there, and make sure that the net shows, so you're only being taxed on the net.
Okay, so that was, and that other adjustments is under IRA?
It's where all the other adjustments as tax returns go. I don't know what software you're using, but there's a line in there. I think it's 21, and you most of the softwares, you click on that, it spreads open, and you can put on there. There's a blank line in there, and just like I say, just be very specific that repaid unemployment benefits to the state of Louisiana.
And you've got copies and proof from bank statements or whatever regarding that you did pay it back, right?
Correct. Cancel checks, everything.
Yeah. Please hold on to those for years. How long should he hold on to it?
At least 3 years to be
At least
safe.
3 years. And if they have some problem with it, letters are going to start going out in 2 years. So just because you get it in and you don't hear anything for a little while, those notices start automatically popping out in about 2 years. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So hold on to those records for a few years, and in case it does come up at a later time. Thanks for calling Winning at Life, Mark. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Usually, you never have to pay back unemployment except in these weird cases during weird pandemic times where states are sending letters to some workers saying they've been overpaid. All of that said, you're probably aware you do have to pay taxes on unemployment benefits. And that's where that wrinkle is right there, because otherwise they're going to tax him on it. But he's saying, I don't need to be taxed. I paid it back or some of it in that case. Not an easy deal to deal with. You repay the unemployment benefits, but maybe it becomes clear that you really don't owe the state the money. In that case, for many people, the answer is simple. If you have no basis to contest, the overpayment determination is you pay it back. Gosh, that sounds like could get complicated.
It is, but he did the right thing. It's best in that situation where you know that you've been overpaid. Just work it out and get that money back to the government. You don't need to further any. They can take it all the way to a garnishment or some type of a levy or something like that, and you don't need that hassle. Just give them the money back.
Okay, tax time is here. If your fourth quarter estimated payments were due on January 18th, I got mine out on those, and I sent a check, and I think it's the last time I'm ever putting a check in the mail to the IRS like this unless I'm at one of their offices, and I did that last year, is hand them the return and set an appointment, go talk to them, hand them a check, and all, because I needed to do it for that mortgage deal that I did. Need to get everything in so we could have that proof of income, revenues, so forth there. January 24th, Monday, this past Monday, the IRS began accepting 2021 returns. Is that right?
Yeah, it's open. Tax season's open.
It's open season. Okay. February 15th, qualified employees must fill out a tax exemption W-4 and give it to their employers by February 15th, if eligible. What's going on with that?
Just if you have changes in your withholdings or your allowances, or you maybe didn't have enough withheld last year and you want to back down to single and zero or something like that. That's the deadline to get it in for changes. And you can turn a W-4 into your employer anytime during the year. What the IRS is just suggesting is to get the most of the year withheld at the right amount. That's
so we're talking about claim dependents being claimed, because I'm looking at step 3 here. If your total income will be $200,000 or less, $400,000 or less if married filing jointly, then multiply the number of qualifying children under 17 by 2,000, and then multiply the number of other dependents by 500. This isn't something that's really big impact, is it? By claiming dependents?
No, and the new W-4 that came out a couple of years ago is a little complicated. So what I usually tell my clients is, let's not rework your tax return in February. Just if you didn't withhold enough and you're married in 2, we can start with married in 1 and married in 0. If that's still not enough, then we start going at the higher rates for single. We'll eventually get enough withheld. Most folks prefer to just get a little something back or owe a little something where it doesn't hurt their savings. People don't like to write big checks out of their savings on April the 15th.
Yeah, my wife and I was talking about this the other day, Jude. It's like, we need to look at that. Wasn't there a required redo for everybody a few years ago?
Yes.
On this?
That was when they redid the W-4, and they basically redid the complete form and made it a little bit complicated for the average tax consumer. I had lots of clients calling, asking to help with their W-4. But for the most part, it's a simple process. If you have children, you might get an extra $500, $1,000 back per child, but there's really no reason to incorporate that into your allowances on your withholding for your paycheck. You can do married in 1, married in 2. If both spouses are working, I usually recommend single in 1, single in 2. Again, if that's still not enough, you can always back down to single in 0.
Single and 0 would be the most withholding. There. That might be what I shift to, because I always need to give them some money on the back end
The good thing
of the
that
years. And one of those is you're aware of is, I'm salaried by the company, and Stacy is too. We push everything we can into our 401ks, but we still have obviously taxable income. We do withholding, and then we take distributions of profit from the company, which is a corporation. So that ultimately passes through to us, and that's really where creating the owing of the taxes later is corporate distributions.
Right. And what a lot of folks don't know about withholdings is, so you know that if you don't make equal and regular quarterly payments through what you just talked about, you just made your final quarterly payment, the form is a 1040 ES for estimate. If you don't make those equal throughout the year and it goes 2 years running and you've underpaid for 2 years, you could be penalized an underpayment penalty. What folks don't realize about W-2s is the IRS treats W-2 withholdings as, no matter what time it's made throughout the year, it could be made on December the 31st, as having equally been paid throughout the year. So I have lots of clients that, like you, are corporations saying, hey, I haven't paid enough. I want to make a final December the 31st payment. I don't want to wait till January 15th because then I'll get penalized. And so we run through the calculations, do a tax estimate, get them a final paycheck in on their corporation, they withhold the whole thing, and then they get penalty free.
So are you saying if you make kind of a balloon payment on the January 1, you still get penalized?
So the balloon payment has to be December the 31st. But no, if it's done with a W-2 with a paycheck, it's not penalized.
But on the quarter, I'm speaking of on the quarterly.
Is a
that kind of
quarterly?
like hypothetically, I pay $30,000 every quarter, and then all of a sudden I send them a check for $110,000 on the last one. I'm gonna get a penalty.
So the way that those
I don't like that rule.
So the way those penalties work is it's a lesser of each year. So in this year, it's going to be the lesser of 2020, what you owed for total, or the lesser of 2021. And so that's why I tell people it always lags 2 years. But if your income is rising and you, for 2 years, you've significantly underpaid in both those 2 years, you're going to get penalized an underpayment penalty.
And that's that letter that comes 2 years later we don't like.
Right. That's right.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we've got one more caller. We don't have enough time for you before the break, Carol from Diamond Head, but we're going to take you when we call back. She's got an income tax question, and we have just the man here for you. Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company CPAs. You're listening to Winning at Life. That number to call is 504-260-0995. I am Gregory Ricks. We are Winning at Life.
Hey, James Parker here from Winning at Life. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career, and you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do? Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
And I want to thank you for all of your help.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Take back control of your retirement. I'm Gregory Ricks. Join me at Keith Young's Steakhouse for a wine, wisdom, and food experience. Tuesday, February 15th or Thursday, February 17th at 6:30. We'll have great food, wine, and talk about strategies to help you win at retirement. GregoryRicks.com to reserve your seat or call the office, 985-200-3110.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live 6 days a week. And if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Most people think of Crime Stoppers as only a tip reporting line, but we're so much more. Crime Stoppers GNO has worked in our area schools, offering prevention presentations on trending topics from drugs, bullying, online safety, suicide prevention, and much more. And we have a high school teen leadership program which provides students with a first-hand look at the criminal justice profession as a future career, while learning to be an advocate for their fellow students. So to learn more, visit safeschoolsla.com or call 504-837-8477.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Bold talk from a Florida lawmaker who thinks President Biden should get tougher with Russia over the Ukraine crisis.
We should be showing more force. We should be showing the world that we're still the watchdog of the world, and we are the power that needs to defend those who want freedom, who want liberty, and they want to continue being a free and sovereign nation.
GOP Congresswoman Maria Salazar on Fox. Blizzard-like conditions keeping millions in the Northeast indoors for the most part today. In New York City, emergency road crews are doing their best just to keep up.
This is a significant storm. There's winds. There's heavy snow right now. Certainly enough snow out there, but most people are staying home, and the plows are doing their job, and we'll keep working on it as long as it's needed.
Acting New York City Commissioner for Emergency Management, Christina Farrell. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Hey, y'all. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I am your host, Gregory Ricks, and thanks for joining us today. We've got a number of callers lined up. Jude Heath of J. Heath and Company CPAs. I didn't get very far down my list of the important tax dates, and then all of a sudden the phone's lit up with these key dates that are coming up. So let's go back to the phones, and Carol from Diamond Head, you're on Winning at Life. How can we help you today?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, awesome.
I've got a tax question about Storm Zeta. It's a hurricane that happened in October of 2020. And I had storm damage as a result of that, but I did not get my repairs done until last year, 2021. I had roof damage, gutters, shutters, and tree damage. And I finally got all the insurance money back in 2021. But I want to know, how do I or can I claim any losses, like my deductible, or they didn't cover, fixing the trees? How can I claim that still on this year's tax return? And if so, is there limits on the amount? I did get one of the publications, but it's a little bit confusing because they talk about all these other, casualties and losses. And this was a federally declared disaster area here in Hancock County, if that helps at all.
Yes, that does help because they changed the law a few years ago that you're only allowed to claim losses on presidentially declared disaster areas. So that is a help. And I would recommend, Carol, that you amend 2020 on that rather than claim on 2021.
Okay, so I can go back and do an amendment on my 2020?
Yes, but
I still have time to do that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have up to 3 years to claim a refund. So, you've got a little bit of time, but it's 3 years from date of filing. So if you filed in April, the clock starts every April.
Okay. Okay. And do you know, are there special forms or something or is there an amount that I can claim or a limit on what I can claim?
There's a 10% AGI limit, and the form is 4684. It's not super complicated. Right in the front of the return, you just put your cost and your insurance, and you calculate a deficiency and send it in, with your 1040X, and you recalculate it 1040. And if you have trouble doing that, I'd be happy to help you if you want to call the office.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for the information. Enjoy the show. I enjoy the show.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah, I was looking. I know a couple of. I've got a lot of people here in studio with me this morning, and it's like Zeta, because I thought that might have been a typo from the board operator, and we had that made landfall October 28th of 2020. Shows here on what I pulled up regarding Zeta slammed into the Gulf Coast, producing 8 feet of storm surge and maximum wind gusts around 100 miles an hour. Kind of like forgotten storm, but it impacted Carol, so that was great help you gave her.
Randy in Picayune, you're on with Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Hey, Randy, how can we help you?
Well, you kind of touched on it here 2 calls ago. I had a question about taxes and retirement. I'm 62. I'm going to retire in 2 years when I reach 64. Now, the first year I retire, I'm not going to turn on my pension or my Social Security. I just plan on living off my savings. I have way more than I need to do that. And at the end of the year, I was going to pull out of my IRA to replenish that. Are they going to require me to do quarterly filings on this?
Well, typically when you're distributing, when we set up a distribution for a qualified account, like an IRA, is one of the questions is, do you want to do withholding, and how much do you want to withhold? I believe the best way for you to do that is to automate that. Say, like if we turn on a monthly distribution and say, yeah, send me $1,000 a month. We're going to have a discussion about taxes and having that withheld for you automatically. Therefore, then you don't have to do quarterly filings, because Jude, if they're not doing withholding,
they get penalized.
You should be doing quarterly filings then. In that case,
well, I was going to withdraw the whole thing in December and have them withhold it right then.
So what amount? What are we kind of when you kind of say the whole thing? You're going to empty out your whole IRA?
No, I'm talking $50,000.
Okay, you're talking about take a distribution of $50,000
at the end of the year. Yes.
Right. Yeah, if you're taking a distribution, have the withholding done at the point of distribution.
Well, yeah, that's it. And then for about the next 2 years after I turn on my Social Security and my pension, I've run the numbers on it, and it's just barely under the limit to where I owe no taxes on it. But once again, I'm going to need for about 2 years, I'm going to need about $15,000 a year to keep me at the lifestyle I'm at. I was going to just withdraw the $15,000 in December, have them do the withholdings. Are they going to make me do quarterly filings on that without getting a penalty?
No, just make sure the withholdings are enough to cover your taxes, including.
Oh, yeah.
Including if you hit the Social Security taxability limit.
It's just, once again, I ran the numbers through all the calculators, and it's like $1,500 worth of my Social Security will be taxable. So I know what my taxes are going to be.
Okay. Yeah, well, just have it withheld out of your IRA, and you should be good to go.
So, Randy, don't leave us yet. I want to talk about this a minute, because you're talking about essentially what, for 2 years, or the next year, did you say? How many years before you turn on Social Security?
It'll be when I turn 65 in my second year of retirement.
Okay, so you're going to turn it on pre-FRA a little bit, which is fine.
Yeah.
In this case. Yeah. So, but if you're pulling money from savings, you're essentially going to have no taxes, right?
Correct.
Well, there's a standard deduction out there that kind of wipes out taxes. I don't know if you should defer taking from the IRA. I think I don't like to waste tax brackets. I don't like to waste a standard deduction. So we should have a talk about looking at efficiency on this going forward, that maybe even though you don't need it, you take the distribution and you park the money, because otherwise you're going to take a larger amount. Now you're getting taxed. You're going to impact possibly your Social Security. And if we've got a standard, what's a standard deduction? Are you married, Randy? Is there another?
No, but I've run that through all the tax calculators, and they are taking into it. I've basically done my taxes, to the standard deduction and all that, so I know what it's going to be. I'm not losing any of that.
Okay. For the listeners, outside of Randy's situation, but that is something I wouldn't want to just draw off savings when I've got future qualified money that I would rather take if I could take distributions and avoid taxes or stay in low tax brackets, because we didn't get into the size of your assets, but a lot of people have sizable IRAs, 401ks, and RMDs are going to ramp that up in the future. I don't mind utilizing the 12% tax bracket and paying some of that versus paying 20 or 30 later. Thanks for listening to the show, Randy, from Picayune.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, it's after that I'm also considering doing some Roth conversions. I just haven't decided whether I want to take advantage of that or not. I've already got the money. I've already got money in a Roth, so
sound like
I may do that.
A DIY guy, do-it-yourselfer, and I think that's one of the reasons to utilize other knowledge that's available for you. We're, like I always say, my firm's non-threatening. We run these efficiency reports on tax and tax strategies going forward. We got a CPA that can get involved as well to vet this, but this is one reason to get some help about doing this forward. And part of that is, you got a window that might be really efficient for some Roth conversions to talk about as well there. So if you're comfortable, you should be, reach out to us. My office number is 504-832-9200. The website's GregoryRicks.com. Thank you for calling, Randy. Great question brought up. And the thing is, where somebody's doing and go that to do it yourself. I always like, sometimes when I speak in front of audiences, I'll ask how many, and I said, I don't need your feedback, but how many retirement plans have you built? You're probably working on one right now, your first one. Well, we've done thousands, and we look at this every day, every week, throughout the day, different scenarios. We've got a lot of great minds put together, and then we have tremendous resources to lean out to. It's like you. How many times have you looked for tax efficiency, Jude? Thousands of times. So we know how to think this, and then we got software and resources that Randy, Jim, Sandy, Angie do not have access to.
Fred in New Orleans, you're going to be next right after this break. And if you have a question, 504-260-0995. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
People with a lot of money fall into schemes and such. And that's whether somebody calling you on your phone or sending you an email, hey, you won the lottery, send me $3,500 so we can process it. That's what you've got to be careful for on these get-rich ideas. There's no magic bullet out there. If you can do time travel, then okay, there's probably some opportunity to jump back and grab Apple at $2 a share, or start helping Bezos in his garage. And one of the things is have somebody you trust to bounce these ideas off of. And when they tell you it's a bad idea, you should take them at their word for it.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
I kind of like using 3 asset classes. I like exchange-traded funds, index-linked stocks. We take those ETFs and we'll invest in stocks through the indexes on the ETFs. We'll use bonds also through exchange-traded funds. And then we like to use annuities to take risk off in the 3rd asset class, to take the risk off, but we're still wanting to index link to get the upside of the market without downside exposure. And that blend is subject to your risk. That's kind of how I look at it. And when we look at the numbers and run historicals, that shows the higher probability of success.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
If you got a kiss on your lips that you're looking for somebody to take.
Hey, y'all, we got this. If you have a financial situation, not sure what to do, we have Jude Heath, CPA in studio. He's of J. Heath and Company CPAs. I've got Brandon Allen, a wealth advisor over at Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority, and me, your host, Gregory Ricks. If you have a financial situation, here's a number to call. Challenge us, test us, get you some help. 504-2600-995.
Fred in New Orleans. You're on with Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Hey, Fred, how can we help you?
Good morning. Here's my question. On Hurricane Ida, can you claim your hurricane losses that wasn't insured even if you don't itemize?
No. For individual, for businesses, you can, but not for individuals.
So what's your situation, Fred? Is this personal or business?
I'm a single retired person, that's all.
Okay, so it's individual, and give him the answer again.
So it can't be claimed unless you itemize.
Unless I'm what?
It cannot be claimed unless you itemize.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds that. Thank you.
Okay. So what would dictate, now he's taking the standard deduction, so he would need a bigger losses to justify going the other way. So how much is a standard deduction for an individual?
For him, it's going to be a little bit over $12,000. I think he said he was single.
Yes, that's what I understood. Single retiree.
You still got that 10% of age adjusted gross income you have to deal with. So it's a little bit of a calculation. It sounds like he's done some of that, though.
So at what point of losses, for him to switch to itemizing, you have any rules that's real simple? I know we're getting into the weeds here, but he's going to need loss. If you itemized, there is no standard deduction. You're needing to get over that $12,000 hump.
Right. There's really no quick and dirty. Like, is he a big charity person? Does he give $8,000 or $10,000 a year in charity? Or what are his state taxes look like? What are his property taxes? So it's really individualized. Every return is unique.
Interesting there. So, since you speak of charity, to get over that hump once again, to give more, say, okay, standard deductions $12,000, and you give $15,000 to charity. So that would justify going itemizing in that case, because you're $3,000 over that.
Yes, if you have the income to support that. There's a 50% charity limit. So if he only has $20,000 in income, then he couldn't take the 15. So again, it just every tax return is a little bit.
So
unique.
you've got to make twice what you're donating.
Right
there. Interesting. Well, what if somebody was making 40,000 and they donated their whole salary?
It would carry forward to its.
So they could only donate half of that salary that year, and it carries forward. So
Correct.
that doesn't work that way. What else could we do? If like the president said, well, I donated his president's salary, I think, is 400,000, something like that. So the president said, I donated my salary, but it really doesn't work other than just giving it away.
Well, they're trying. You must be talking about President Trump. So they're
Well, I
going to
was
try
not
to open
naming
his.
names.
They're going to
'cause
try to
that's-
open
that
his
just
return.
opens such a mess out there. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Biden's of the charity type as well. But that's why I was just generalizing. So go back, answer that question again.
So the unused charitable contributions carry forward. The main thing is, we like to see the return, give options. What are your choices? Just what are your options to bring your taxes down? Or like you said in the last segment, maybe we don't bring your taxes down. Maybe we try to utilize that 12% tax bracket.
Okay, that makes sense there. Appreciate your help on that.
Richard in Metairie, you're on with Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Hey, Richard.
Hi, I have a question. Last December, last month, I found out about these I-bonds. They were talking about them on a number of shows. I mean, they're no-brainers. I would have put my whole portfolio in these things if they didn't have the limit. But I did buy 10 grand last month, and I just bought another 10 grand. I think that's my limit for till next year. But the taxes, I think they're called zero coupons, where you don't get anything sent to you, so you don't get any interest until you sell the bonds. Now, if I hold them 5, 6, 10 years, I don't need to pay interest every year on that. I mean, pay taxes on the interest every year. I just pay when I cash them in a one-time interest deduction, on my taxes for that year that I cash it in.
It might work like a savings bond, like you're talking about, where you pay taxes when you cash them in. Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when that has to show up, because it's deferred in the bond. It's just when they pay interest is when they cash that bond in. And what he's speaking of, I-bonds, these inflation bonds, which through April of 2022, the combined rate is 7.12%. And you can electronically, you can get 10,000 total each year into that. So if you have somebody else in the household, a spouse, so you could set up one for them as well. You also, if you have a tax refund, I was going to say a tax return coming. That's not right. No, you have to send them the tax return. But if they're going to send you a refund, you could get that put into an I-bond as well. Just thought I'd help you out.
So you do have a choice of reporting the interest every year on the I-bonds, or you can choose to defer it until it cashes in. But if you do decide to pay the interest every year, say you're in a low tax bracket and you're expecting you're going to be in a higher tax bracket when you cash in, just keep records of that. Again, like Gregory is saying, we always keep records of that, so you can take that interest that you've already paid when you redeem those bonds.
Okay. Well, I'm guessing the Treasury Department is not going to send me 1099s every year. That's something I'm going to have to look on my account, and maybe I'll put it on my account if I wanted to claim every year to know how much interest is paid.
Yes, that's correct. They're only going to send you the 1099 when it redeems as of the date of issue. So that you're going to have to calculate that manually.
Okay, thanks. I'll have to look into that.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. We got Jude Heath in studio with us, and Brandon Allen, one of the wealth advisors on the Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authorities team. We got a few minutes left, and we were trying to let's get to this ladder before we run out of time. My list is very long, but they're getting these letters regarding the child credit. And you told me before the show, there's some problems coming up there. I'm seeing notices about those problems as well. So help us out here.
So the first thing is that letter is critical to filing your return. And so we've put communications for our clients out there and the people that keep up with our channels that it needs to go in your tax folder. And we're going to ask for it of our clients. You know, there's a number you can get.
So everybody's getting this letter if you got child credits.
Right. If you got the advance tax
advance payments every month. Okay.
Right. And there's problems too in that some of them are coming out wrong. And so we got to look at that too, and they don't really have a way yet. We're not expecting corrections. What we're going to do for our clients is we're going to do it correct and then argue later. And of course, you know where that goes.
Notices
coming. And conversations with agents and trying to get someone on the phone. And
let's see, where key deadlines coming up. Let's get back to that. Is there anything else that you need to tell everybody as we're getting into this tax season, which started essentially on January 24th of accepting returns?
Well, the main thing is we're not finished with 2020 locally. Oh, so 2020 was deferred to February the 15th. Yes, because of Ida. And so your tax preparers, we are trying to finish up 2020 in addition to kicking off 2021. And so we've got some changes and some difference in rules. And so, we are working both years. So we also are prioritizing our usual beginning of year kickoff folks, our FAFSAs. We've always got, people that need their returns quickly for FAFSA reasons. We've always got clients in the hopper that are trying to qualify for a mortgage. They want to quick file, hurry up, get it in as soon as the tax year starts so they can go house shopping. So, we've got different clients that have different priorities and sensitivities, and so we work all those.
Tax day this year is April 18th. It's usually the 15th, but because that's when Emancipation Day will be observed in Washington, D.C. So we get a few extra days this year to get that return in. And, of course, if you want to file an extension, grab form off your shelf, 4868, download it, call J. Heath and Company CPAs to get you some help. You can reach out to them through my office. My website is GregoryRicks.com, and our show contributing the media page. And you can Google him, J. Heath and Company CPAs. Jude, thank you for being with us today.
Thank
we
you.
Appreciate it. We're going to get you back on in here in a couple weeks or sooner if we can break you free from all these tax returns you're doing.
Yeah, had a good time.
Awesome. Thank you.
We are Winning at Life with
From
Gregory
the
Ricks.
Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
The snow keeps falling. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News, and the wind keeps whipping. That combination creating dangerous conditions across parts of the Mid-Atlantic to New England. Fox Weather's Ian Oliver is in Monmouth County, New Jersey.
The temperature is in the mid-20s, but the feels-like temperature is just 3. I was looking at the state of New Jersey power outages. There's less than 1,000 customers without power right now. A low number. Thankfully, folks can stay warm as these feels-like temperatures are in that dangerous territory. That's why the snow is moving sideways here. It's wind-driven. It's the blizzard conditions that we've been talking about. Heavy snow.
Most flights into and out of Philadelphia, New York, and Boston are canceled. The UN Security Council will meet Monday amid escalating tensions between Russia and Ukraine.
Defense Secretary Austin said that he does not believe that Vladimir Putin has made up his mind over Ukraine as of yet, but that the scenario he has created is straight out of the Russian playbook, playing victim and then attacking. By mobilizing over 100,000 troops around the border of Ukraine, Secretary Austin and General Mark Milley said in the briefing that Russia could accidentally or intentionally provoke conflict, giving Putin the ability to create pretext for further invasion.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff in Washington. Tensions also flaring at the U.S. southern border as agents encounter more and more migrants.
DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was visiting Border Patrol agents in Laredo, Texas, and during that meeting, Border Patrol agents in Laredo got into a heated back and forth with their boss, U.S. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz. They let him know they're not happy with what's going on.
That's Fox's Bill Malutian in La Jolla, Texas. America's listening to Fox News.
Jason in the House, the Jason Chaffetz podcast. There is always someone doing something stupid somewhere. Dive deeper than the headlines and the party lines as I take on American life, politics, and entertainment. Join me, Jason Chaffetz, every Wednesday as I shed light on the news and make some predictions along the way. You never know who will drop in. Subscribe now on foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts.
Connect to Fox News Audio and the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
We're paying more for less at the grocery store these days. Fox's Madison Allworth explains.
If you've been feeling like you're getting less product in your packaging, not only are you not alone, you're also not wrong. Shrinkflation, the cousin of inflation, is when producers put less product in their boxes or containers for the same price to avoid scaring away customers. Take Chobani, for example. Consumers have noticed less product in their personal yogurt cup. Shrinkflation, just like inflation, has been going on for some time now.
Another brand, General Mills, has reduced its family-size cereal boxes by an ounce. A Washington state trooper who gave up his job after refusing to be vaccinated against COVID-19 has now given up his life.
A Washington State Patrol officer who refused to abide by a statewide vaccine mandate has died. 51-year-old former trooper Robert LeMay was on the job for 22 years. State Patrol Chief John R. Batiste saying that LeMay served honorably for 2 decades. But the veteran officer refused to bow down to an order from the governor to get the shot or quit. LeMay gained nationwide attention back in October when he signed off for the last time by telling Governor Jay Inslee to kiss my ass. He then retired. Now he's dead from COVID-19. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
A national vaccine mandate will take effect on Tuesday in Austria, and days later, the country will ease some COVID-19 restrictions.
Restaurants will be allowed to remain open until midnight local time starting on February 5th, as opposed to closing at 10 p.m. Rules effectively barring unvaccinated people from stores and restaurants will be phased out starting on February 12th.
Fox's Paul Stevens. At the Australian Open, the women's final went to Aussie Ash Barty. She beat Danielle Collins. Pam Huso, Fox News.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Hey, y'all. You're listening to Winning at Life. Yeah, it's the live financial news talk show. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks, with you again this Saturday morning. We've got things to talk about. You know, it's tax time has started. Last hour on the show, we had Jay Heath and Company head guy Jude Heath. And we had a lot of callers regarding tax questions. I don't have him this hour, but you could catch a replay of that later over on Facebook. We're streaming live on that now at a replay. And then I think we upload the show on Monday mornings for the replays. And you can also find me on the Ask Gregory podcast as well. Okay, so if you want to join the hey, remember, for the newbies, you know, we've been doing this show for about 12 years. I have, and it's a financial talk show, and the magic of it is the callers' questions. This is one of those opportunities to where you can participate in the show you like, and it's a safe place to do so. Only thing we're going to mention is your name, and we like to have your location. You know, what area are you calling from? You know, is it Gulfport? I was trying to think up in North Mississippi. Oh, Yazoo City. If you're calling from Yazoo City, we want to share that. Or Memphis, or Raleigh, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette. You know, we'll share that. Vegas, we had a caller last week from Houston, was one of the many callers that we had. So the number to join the conversation, and the board operator that takes your incoming call may ask you for a little bit more information. It's a safe place. No, that's not being shared with anybody but me. The only thing I mention on air ever is your first name and location. So it's a safe place, comfortable for you to ask that question. And we like the question. Social Security's been like the most popular topic ever over the 12 years. And we've already had some of that today as well. So if you've got a Social Security question about when to turn it on, you know, regarding FRA or taxes and so forth on that, how about your 401k? If you're not at that old job, what should you do with it? Yeah, there's a number of choices. We can talk about that. How about investing? How to invest your 401k or make those decisions. We had, Brandon, what's the government pension called? The thrift?
TSP.
Yeah, the TSP. And last week on the show, last Saturday's show, we had a caller about that on investment choices as well regarding volatility. And we're going to address that a little bit on the show today, is volatility. So if you've got any of these situational, you know, on how to invest, where, how do we look at it, Social Security, taxes, pensions, the number to join the conversation on the show is 504-260-0995. Once again, 504-260-0995. And we're over on Facebook Live. You can join us on the Winning at Life page and start watching the stream. Hey, everybody out there in Streamland. That is really something. When we started that show, we didn't have any of those capabilities there. It was just like, we didn't even have originally audio streaming capability. And that was like, wow, we can stream audio all over the country. Then we'd get calls from Europe. I remember, like, that's the craziest thing. We get callers from Europe onto the show as well. So let me give you a few other numbers here. Once again, if you, I forget my Winning at Life app sometimes. You want to become a part of the Winning at Life Nation, go download the Winning at Life app. That'll get you onto our weekly email also. and connections of more about what's going on here and what's going on the Wednesday Q&A that we do, you can get copied on that, and information about the Ask Gregory podcast also. So let's see, I've got a couple numbers here. The S&P 500 is down 6.9% year-to-date total return, with just one trading day left in the month. Is that right? One day? Did I give that out right? One day. So pull up my calendar. Yeah, that's going to be Monday. One trading day left in the month. Let's see. That's okay. So once again, is down 6.9% year-to-date total return with one trading day left in the month. That's the worst January performance since the index lost 8.4% in January of 2009. Yeah, that was an ugly year because that market tumbled on to where it bottomed out in April of that year. The tumble of 2009 continued through, well, here it says through March 9th of 2009. Well, I kind of look at it, that's really when the market started heading back up, was April of that case. The next day, March 10th, 2009 began, and they signal here as an 11-year bull market that ran until February 19th of 2020. When did that, what happened then? Tightening? No, global pandemic. Global pandemic struck. Lockdowns. Markets went tumbling after that point in time. When the S&P 500 closed at 4327 on Thursday, the stock index was down 9.7% from an all-time closing high of 4793 about a month ago. A decline of 10% would be the index's 21st tumble of at least 20%. 21st tumble of at least 10%, but less than the 20% in the last 50 years. But it would be the sixth since 2016. Declines of at least 10%, but less than 20% from previous closing high are called corrections. A little bit of help for you there on that. If you'd like to join the conversation, and we've got phones lighting up, here's the number, 504-260-0995.
David in Diamond Head, you're on with Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Oh, Lord, we need something positive. We can't talk about the stock market.
Well, it did. It started going back up on the end of the week, so it was positive at the end of the week.
There you go. 3 weeks down, and the last Friday it went up.
Well, that's a positive note.
Yeah, there you go. I said I need something positive, so there you go. You got that. I know there's listeners out there got to be close to my age. I'm turning 65, and I was born in 1957.
We're going to a break. Control of your retirement. I'm Gregory Ricks. Join me at Fleming's Steakhouse for Wine, Wisdom, and Food Experience, Tuesday, February 8th, or Thursday, February 10th at 6:30. We will have great food, wine, and talk about strategies to help you win at retirement. Visit GregoryRicks.com to reserve your seat or call the office 504-832-9200.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Gumbo Nation homeowners, what a year we just had. Some of you have gained 20% equity in your home, giving you more cash than ever before. So let that home work for you. Don't miss out. Get that new kitchen, update the paint, and space for those beautiful grandbabies to come over. You've earned it. Take advantage of a free home proposal by visiting SnapSendAndSave.com. It's that easy.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can hear the Ask Gregory podcast, where you'll find episodes based on a financial topic. So if you're looking for help on a specific situation, there's a good chance you'll find it on the Ask Gregory podcast, including episodes on 401ks, taxes, stocks, Social Security, gold, and whether or not you should buy an RV. Hear the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Less than half of Americans have drawn up a will. If you don't have one, you know you need to get one. But what if you do have a will? Is it up to date? Has anyone in your family been married, divorced, or passed away? Have any new family members been born or adopted? Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make you a plan or update your existing plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
What we found through history, looking at the past 90 years, most fund managers don't outperform or perform as well as the indexes. Using indexing, historicals teach us skew a higher return. And yes, there's bad stocks in the S&P 500 as it looks right now, and yet the index is up. I like to use indexed ETFs because those are much lower expense ratios. We try our best in managing our portfolios to avoid trading costs, and we know I've been doing this for 30 years. I've studied trading strategies. You're not going to outsmart the indexes. You may get lucky, you may get unlucky.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hey, y'all. Yeah, we had a train wreck going out of the break right there. I missed it. I was listening to David, and our music going away didn't play, so all of a sudden we just, you see that on on some of the talk shows, like on Fox News or Fox Business. It happens. They'll be doing an interview, and all of a sudden, boom, it goes to a commercial, meaning they hit a hard break that if they didn't catch themselves and pause and say, hey, we'll be right back, listen to these messages, and then boom, you go to break. So we have hard breaks here that we have to go to that commercial, and generally we catch it. And I've got a clock right here in front of me, and I missed it. So it's like, it happens. They're rare, but it does. So once again, you're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I am your host, Gregory Ricks. I have Brandon Allen, one of the wealth advisors at my firm, in with us in studio today. And we're taking callers. The number's 504-260-0995. David from Diamond Head, let's try this again. How can we help you today?
Well, you ended that last on a positive note, but now I'm suffering from PTSD from that hard break. Now,
yeah, we'll get you some counseling later.
I just got a broad Social Security question. I'm turning 65 in October. It looks like I was born in 57, so it looks like I got to work 60 till I'm 66 in 3 months to be able to draw full Social Security and continue with my job. Is there anything at turning 65? I need to contact Social Security 3 months ahead of time, or what is my timeline on what's going on with me?
So what?
And it's really not an investment question. It's more of a broad Social Security question.
Yeah, very broad, but on turning it on, you want to start that a few months ahead of time. Let's see. Earnings limit for 2022 is $19,560. Do I have that right, Brandon?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, because they adjust it, they tweak it every year. So the earnings limit is that. Will you be going over that this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's what, 50 cents on a dollar they deduct?
It's $1 for every $2
$2 over that
over the
amount.
Dollar for dollar.
Yeah, so
So
you
really,
need to wait.
Born in
You need to wait
and
to
that's
FRA.
born in October. What is that, MRA? Would you? I'm sorry, I missed that acronym or whatever. Was it MRA? Would you say?
FRA, that's full retirement age.
Yeah. He's catching us.
Yeah,
Hard
right.
breaks,
And then I can
talking in
draw
acronyms.
Yeah, yeah, but that makes sense, and that way I can still draw my full pay, and my retirement year I can draw unlimited. Correct. So if I turn 66 in 3 months in January of, I think it would be 2024, I'd be able to draw my full pay and total Social Security with no penalty.
There's
Correct?
a little bit of timing issue there regarding FRA, certain situations, and that's something I can cover on the show. Probably not today. We're going to have too many callers calling in, but there's certain situations where
Right.
when you turn FRA in that year, it can benefit you to start it even as early as January, but there's some calculations that need to be run because you're still getting a little bit of penalty, but it's versus the money that you're getting by starting there on that. But once again, the year-end FRA, and you should notify them in advance of when you're going to turn it on and request that specific date, and it will turn on. And it's best to set up your online account. Have you done that, David, over at ssa.gov?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
So you
I've
could
done
actually go through that process online.
And they'll answer most all the questions that I'm asking, kind of preliminary right now.
Yeah, and you can also go to them. There's a phone number for them as well that could be of help to you, because one of the things you're looking at there is pretty much, I look at Social Security as a remote organization now from that standpoint. So if we have a little bit of time, I can cover a little bit in that later on the show regarding turning on full retirement age or turning full retirement age in 2022. So any other questions,
Right.
David?
No, sir. I got to get off the line and deal with my PTSD. I guess I'll go feed my chickens.
Okay. Yeah, go out, get some
Yeah.
fresh
Thank
air,
y'all.
and it'll help you relax from that. You're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I am your host, Gregory Ricks, and we're taking callers today as always.
Sharon in Pearl River, you're on with Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Hey, Sharon.
Hi. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. I have a quick question about cash. I had 6. Can you hear me?
We have you. Everybody can hear
Okay. Okay, thank you. I had $60,000 in non-emergency cash, and because of inflation, I didn't want to leave it that way. So I bought 2 I-bonds, one for $10,000 in November, and then one for $10,000 this month. And then I sent $10,000 to my mortgage, which left me a balance of $28,000. With the other $30,000, would you suggest paying the rest of the mortgage off, or doing a Warren Buffett and actually using it to invest in something that'll give me a return?
I'm going to let Brandon go ahead.
So Sharon, how much do you have left on the mortgage? Can you repeat that?
$28,000.
Okay. And what is your current rate on that mortgage?
3.85.
Okay. And
That's a good rate.
yeah, that is. And what's, as far as the remainder outside of what you put in the I bonds, what do you have in cash in your savings? Can you repeat that one more time?
I got $30,000 in cash that I don't know if I should leave sit or go ahead and try and invest it in something.
Sharon, I don't know.
How much of that is emergency money? Is that all the savings
None of
you
it.
have?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, none of it is emergency.
So you have another emergency account?
Yeah, I got 30,000 for emergency.
Okay. Well, I'm comfortable loosely here with that. So it's what to do with the other 30,000. How is the mortgage? So tell us about that mortgage, since this is a discussion about that. Kind of what's your monthly payment and how much time left on the mortgage?
About $674 is the monthly payment, and I would have about maybe 15 more years left.
Okay. So if you paid it off, what would you do with that $600 every month that you freed up?
I'd spend it. Half of it I might save, but
what other accounts do you have? Do you have some retirement savings, IRA, Roth, or anything like that at this time?
I have a TSP, and I'm 90% in bonds because I got nervous. So I was going to move that to something a little more, that would pay me a little more. But I use that. That's my investment money is the TSP, through TSP.
Okay. And that's through your employer's plan, right? Your TSP?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So there's three worlds of money out there. So I kind of like, and you're, let me see, are you under or over age 50? That's as narrow as I'll get on your age.
I'm 57.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. Because you could put $7,000 in a Roth account. You can do a contribution to that to start building some tax-free savings. If you've not done that, I would do that with $7,000 of it. And you can go ahead and get $7,000 in for last year and another $7,000 for this year. So you could get $14,000 into your Roth. So that's, we're getting half of that 30 right there on that.
Okay.
From a
Now the total I'm sorry. The total for the Roth and my TSP, those two don't have to, they don't contribute to one or the other as far as my total retirement set aside, right?
No. The only subject you'll
They're
have some
separate.
income limits, but you got to be pretty good over six-figure income to start having some limits there on contributing to a Roth. But you also could add to an IRA instead. It just won't be deductible if you hit those income limits also. So there's a couple choices. And remember, an IRA, a Roth, is a tax classification. It's not an investment. So putting in that money in the Roth, you can invest it. Now, we also look at what's the time horizon. How long are you going to need this money work to spend it? It kind of is dependent upon how you invest it there. And I see, you mentioned you went very conservative in your TSP. That also depends on your time horizon. How much, when are you going to need it? How's income going to look out of there? I don't have a problem with making adjustments like that.
I got about $300,000.
Yeah.
I got about $300,000. I was trying to protect the principal by moving it to bonds, but I'm not making any money.
Yeah. So how far away is retirement? We've got a few seconds left.
At 57, I still got another at least 5 to 8 years. Probably.
Okay. When we come back from break, I'll give you more information about that. George from Destrehan, you'll be up next. You're listening to Winning at Life.
Hey, James Parker here from Winning at Life. Something that's come up on the show over the last 10 years is that if you're not at your old job, maybe your 401k shouldn't be either. But do you really know why we say that? It's a funny thing. We put a few $100 in our 401k every month. It ends up to be thousands of dollars every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars over our career, and you don't really know that much about it. How do you invest it? How do you diversify? What do you buy? What do you avoid? You've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do? Ask Gregory. Ask Gregory is our new podcast with these financial topics broken down into specific little chunks. So if you have a financial situation or you just want to learn more about money, Ask Gregory. Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
And I want to thank you for all of your help.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Take back control of your retirement. I'm Gregory Ricks. Join me at Keith Young's Steakhouse for a wine, wisdom, and food experience. Tuesday, February 15th or Thursday, February 17th at 6:30. We'll have great food, wine, and talk about strategies to help you win at retirement. GregoryRicks.com to reserve your seat or call the office, 985-200-3110.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live 6 days a week. And if we're not on at the moment, you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Most people think of Crime Stoppers as only a tip reporting line, but we're so much more. Crime Stoppers GNO has worked in our area schools, offering prevention presentations on trending topics from drugs, bullying, online safety, suicide prevention, and much more. And we have a high school teen leadership program which provides students with a first-hand look at the criminal justice profession as a future career, while learning to be an advocate for their fellow students. So to learn more, visit safeschoolsla.com or call 504-837-8477.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Officials in the Northeast urging residents to heed those blizzard warnings today as heavy wind-blown snow affects millions from Virginia to New England. In New York,
Nassau and Suffolk are being hit the hardest. As of 9:30 a.m., they had about 7 to 11 inches. That is going to continue to about 6 p.m., and I want to make sure everyone understands this. Even though there might be a little break or you start seeing a little clearing, don't be misled by that. There could be a gust of wind that creates whiteout conditions.
Governor Kathy Hochul, a sign of improvement as one European nation relaxes some COVID rules.
The government in Austria announcing that some coronavirus rules will be loosened next month. Those announcements from Chancellor Karl Nehammer coming right before Austria's national vaccine mandate goes into effect this Tuesday.
Fox's Paul Stevens. America is listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Hey y'all, you're listening to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm not going to talk too much here. I want to share something with you. If we look back since 1926, 84% of the rolling 3-year periods for the S&P 500. Once again, since 1926, 84% of rolling 3-year periods for the S&P 500 have produced a positive return. You know, if you're at 10-year periods, what's that percentage, Brandon?
10-year periods, you're looking at about 8%, I believe.
Well, what percentage up? It's a little over 90%.
Oh, yeah.
20-year rolling time period, you're up over 100% of this time. So what I get at is our last caller regarding dialing back conservative there. Yeah, but how much longer is that money going to work? It's going to cycle through.
Right.
I understand adjusting back that money. We've actually made adjustments in our portfolio. Some portions have been put to cash because that's part of what we build it. But some portions are, say, in the S&P 500, and some portions aren't going to be adjusted. So kind of my thoughts on her situation once again And once again, I don't know her timeline, when she's going to retire, what amount of income, what other assets are, but we want to keep some of that money working. And we go back to this rule: do not invest in a way that you interrupt compounding of your money. So I just roughly saying I might would have kept a little bit more than 10% into the market there, but that's really hard to say because you do on trying to time, you've got to figure out too that when to exit, when to get back in. So we don't really want to exit all of it ever.
Right.
Why? Because we're going to use a number of asset classes like in the Invest 50/50. We like us some stocks, but we do that through the indices. We like us some bonds, but now we want to have shorter duration because of interest rates going up. We want to be tactical, which means the money's going to follow momentum, and sometimes we'll get shifted to cash. That's one of the asset classes that makes that decision. And then we like index-linked investing. We'll pass the risk to the insurance company, so we get a portion of the upside and do not have downside exposure. That's how we increase the probability of success and levelize the investing ride. So hopefully that helps you on there. Sam from Gretna, welcome to Winning at Life. How can we help you today?
Yeah, Mr. Rex, we started on my question last week, but I was too tight to the break. I'm the guy that needs to pull down a little bit out of my investment for my roof deductible, trying to get on someone's roof schedule like everybody else. My question is, though, is that two of my funds I have with American funds, it's been pretty good up and down overall and everything, but I'm still switching over to y'all whenever I figure out what I'm going to have to do tax-wise. But anyway, my question is that two of my funds are highly invested in stocks where the volatility is. And my limited knowledge is I'm figuring that's where the up and down is going to be. Now, I'm looking at probably trying to get a roof, and I'm laughing in the background, by like the beginning of March. Now, with the stocks, do you see it ping-ponging back and forth until the interest rates, or is it going to be kind of declining down? Because I'm thinking, well, do I draw back next week, or do I wait till it rebounds till maybe like the middle of January's level to pull down? I know that's a wild guess, but your guess is better than mine.
I'm not going to try to guess, but I think we have volatility going forward, and you may see that for the next couple years. Volatility could be short term. And look at the pandemic, what happened to the market. It had a really big fall fast and then had a record return. We usually want to give more of a longer expectation for coming back, and that's why we'll have different asset classes we want to draw from. So if you're needing to make adjustments, when you need to make adjustments, it's a good time to do so. But we've seen, and as far as this reduction is not much compared to, gosh, how much money we've made. Do you have a thought on the answer for that?
No, I kind of agree with you there, Gregory. I think the big thing is that trying to time it, especially with making a short-term decision on that money, is probably not a good thing to do. So it's if you know you're going to need that money, you
probably should set it aside now.
Yeah, you might want to get it moving now.
That answers the question, because it'll be ping ponging back and forth. But what if 3 weeks from now it's lower than it was last week? So probably the sooner the better than to put it in a safe place then.
Yeah, Sam, that's correct.
Okay. All right, Brandon. Thank you. Thank you,
Awesome.
Mr. Rex.
Thanks
you a
for
lot.
the call, Sam. Dennis from New Orleans, how can we help you today on Winning at Life?
Hey, good morning. What I'm calling about is I'm getting ready to retire. I've got a 403B, and I've got cash and money markets, and a few other things. But anyway, what I'm looking for right now, more so than investing, is information that would help me transition into retirement and to take advantage of all these things that you talk about as saving taxes in retirement and all these other programs. So what I'm looking for to start off with would be basically information. Is that something that you guys would provide for a fee basis? Because I know you're making money on investments. So am I looking at the wrong firm, or is that something that I could come in and meet with you all, get this information, and get myself set up, and then in the near future after retirement, looking at where to put some of this money to do some good?
Yeah, Dennis, that's a good question. As far as picking our brains and coming sit down with us, we actually on the first visit don't charge anything for that. We kind of actually do what you're suggesting, in that we sit down and we kind of get to know what you're looking for, what are your goals and objectives, where are you trying to be in retirement. And so we're looking at what you currently have going on, and then we're looking at 10, 15 years out in the future, what income might look like for you, what your assets or positioning is, and how do we get you to that destination point. And what we're really going to cover is our core 5 areas, which are income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare, and estate planning. We want to see where you are in that process now, and then where you need to be to get you that point comfortably in retirement.
Mm-hmm. And so what are the type of things that you would need to have together on a meeting, on your first meeting? I mean, bring in all of your assets and where your money is and that type of thing?
Typically, the more you do provide to us on the first meeting, the better the first meeting can go, because it kind of gives us an idea going into the meeting of what you have set up. And then we have an idea of maybe what you want to actually talk about in that first meeting. So typically, people bring in their most recent tax return. We like to kind of get an idea of where they are from a tax bracket perspective. There are individual retirement accounts, employer plans. We like to do an investment analysis on how they're currently positioned, and if there's any way we can help them out as far as positioning to increase the probability of success for them heading towards retirement and then in retirement. And then we also like to look at things like Social Security to see what might be the best time as far as turning that on and optimizing that benefit. And then, other things as far as like company pensions, future pensions, bringing information if you have any passive income sources like real estate income or, anything like that where you draw an income source. Just because as far as getting an overall picture, we like to see those things. And it kind of paints us, an idea of what's going on. But then in the first meeting, we kind of dig more into those things. And it gives us, a better picture. And then typically, the purpose of a first meeting is to see whether or not it makes sense to sit down for a second meeting, where we start to put pieces together and ideas on what might make your situation better going forward.
Yeah, we look at it as a multiple meeting process, but important. It's a get to know you session. We need to have an idea of what's going on, preparing for a second meeting where more recommendations are likely to happen and guidance and advice looking forward. We need information because part of what we want to figure out, we're going to need to figure out what kind of fees are you paying where you're at, even if it's at your 401k or old job in that case. We want to go over with you how we look from an investing standpoint, kind of talk to you about philosophy. Does that match up with what you're looking for? Because I think at the end of the day, what we're all trying to get to is increase the probability of your success. We're going to cover fees and any other questions that you have on that first visit there, Dennis. Does that help you out?
Okay. It sure does. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis. Well, we're going to go to break. We lost George that was on hold for quite a bit of time. My error, George. If you call us back, we'll take you back right when we come back from this break. You're listening to Winning at Life. I'm going to plug what we kind of do as my day job during the week. We help you with your money. We're money managers, we're strategists, income planners, investments. Another is healthcare, whether it's long-term care or Medicare, and having supplements and such, estate planning. And then the fifth part is tax planning, creating tax efficiency.
regardless of the area you're listening to across the country, we can do video meetings. We can start with a phone call, do Zoom meetings. As far as in office, I have an office in Gulfport, Mississippi, in Mandeville, Baton Rouge, and also in Metairie, Louisiana. So the office number is 504-832-9200. The website is gregoryricks.com, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mosquitoes. We know them as flying, blood-sucking pests, but did you know that mosquitoes are actually highly intelligent? They can smell human breath, our sweat helps them choose their next meal, and they use our body heat to find just the right place to bite. Outsmart mosquitoes with help from Mosquito Joe. Mosquito Joe has this time-release capsule that they spray that slowly releases its mosquito death over a course of a month. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
So part of our invest 50-50 money management philosophy is to use stock ETFs. We like the indices. We're not going to beat them, so let's join them. Somebody will say, well, what's your track record? Well, what's the track record of the S&P 500? Because that's what we're using, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and some of the sub-indices there. Well, what are you doing on bonds? Well, we like those on the ETFs because I'm not in the buying houses and selling houses business. You know what the pain it is to sell a house? Well, that's kind of like selling a bond. You got to list it and wait for bids. I'd rather do it inside of an ETF that has low expense ratio and let the institutional guys help with that selection.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. Find us on the Winning at Life app or winningatlife.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We do our best to take all the callers and answer their questions because I think it's one of the most important things about the show. We're going to circle back around. No more callers call in. Here's the number, 504-504-2600-995. We've got about 10 more minutes left in the show. And once again, if you weren't able to get through because of the amount of callers that we had or dropped off, you know, there's a safe place to call also on Monday and get your question answered or throw an idea out there. What if I did this? What should I do that? Because I have people ready to help you Monday through Friday at the offices. We've got a Baton Rouge, Louisiana office, Mandeville, Louisiana office, Metairie, Louisiana, that's in the New Orleans area, and Gulfport, Mississippi. And if you're elsewhere in the country, you can call my office and ask a question. You can schedule a 15-minute call. You don't have to be a client to get a question answered. And you could schedule a 15-minute call, say, hey, I'd like a little bit of a discussion to see if I want to go further. And that might be to expand that call if the advisor has time on the schedule to open up that 15-minute call. Sometimes they might just be blocked for that, but then have another call or another meeting right after that. But if they have time and you're wanting to go further, then they could expand that. They'll ask permission. You can schedule a Zoom meeting, so we can do a video meeting with you as well, or you can come into one of the offices, whatever you're closer to, and have a sit-down meeting. And there's no pressure, no obligation. What we're hoping for is you'll want to continue the discussion beyond that scheduled time to learn more, because we can't cover everything in one visit. But we are there to help, and I just want you to understand, feel no threatening, and Nobody's here going to, oh, you have to become a client for me to answer that or do this. And what we hope to is provide you the information you need, and you want to continue having discussions. So to call the office to schedule to get a question answered, or to schedule a 15-minute phone call, a Zoom meeting, or an in-office visit, no matter what location or what type of meeting you won't be, there's one number to call, 504-832-9200. The website is GregoryRicks.com, and you can also reach out to us through the Winning at Life app. Did you have something to add? Okay. Well, the caller earlier, I said if I get to this, I would today, and it was interesting that he called regarding turning on benefits early. So essentially here, the law essentially says that if you are older than 62 but younger than your full retirement age and are still working full time, you're not eligible for Social Security. Specifically, the rule requires that Social Security deduct $1 from any retirement benefits you might be due for every $2 you earn over $19,560 this year. And yes, that's a lower amount than last year. But the rules say once you reach your full retirement age, you are due full Social Security benefits, even if you are still working, no matter how much money you are making. Let's say Ed was born in March of 1956, which means he'll reach his full retirement age of 66 and 4 months in July of this year. Let's say Ed generally makes about $80,000 a year and he plans to continue working indefinitely. Based on the earnings penalty rules I outlined a moment ago, Ed figures he must wait until July, his full retirement age, to begin collecting his Social Security benefits. At that point, the earnings penalty rules no longer apply and he can get his Social Security benefits. Prior to that, he's making way more than $19,560. But here's why Ed should check into applying for Social Security in January. Congress set up a more lenient earnings threshold for the year you reach your full retirement age. Specifically, it says you can earn up to $51,960 between January and the month. Remember that specifically it says you can earn up to $51,960 between January and the month you reach your full retirement age and still get Social Security benefits. And even if you earn more than $51,960, you lose only $1 from your benefits for every $3 you make over that threshold. So once again, going to the earlier caller, it may well not impact him by starting it earlier. Ed is going to make $40,000 between January and June before he reaches magical age of 66 and 4 months. And that's under the $51,960 threshold for 2022, which means Ed is due benefits beginning in January. He does not have to wait until July to apply for his Social Security checks. But there is a bit of a catch. By starting his benefits in January, Ed will be accepting a slightly reduced amount. Benefits are reduced roughly 0.5% for each month they are taken before full retirement age. So if Ed's Social Security benefit at full retirement age is $2,500 per month, let's look at his options. His first option is to wait until July, start his benefits. He'll get $2,500 a month for 6 months, $15,000 for the year 2022. His second option is to file for Social Security in January. Starting his benefits slightly early, his monthly rate is reduced to about $2,400 a month. Comes out to $28,000 in total benefits for 2022. The downside to option 2 is his ongoing monthly benefit rate will be $100 less than he would have been getting in option 1. But because he's getting about $13,800 less than 22 in benefits in option 1, Ed would be taking a long time to make up that $100 a month. So even if Ed was going to make more than $51,960 in income threshold between January and June, he's only losing $1 in Social Security benefits for every $3 he earns over that amount. So he still might come out ahead by filing in January. Let's take one other quick look here. Here's a quick example using that scenario. So let's say Ed will make $60,000 between January and June. That's $8,040 over the $51,960 limit. And 1/3 of that excess, or $2680, must be deducted from his 2022 benefits. But he would still get $26,120 in benefits for the year. That's still way better than the $15,000 he would be due if he were to wait until July for his Social Security benefits. I know I gave you a lot there, and that's why that was a great call earlier. I just couldn't get to that answer for him at that point. I know he's probably went out feeding his chickens after that was the PTSD call.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we shook him up with that hard break there. But hopefully he's still listening to the show, and he's probably in a scenario possibly where it pays to start early in the year in which, and he was going to be turning it on this year. There's so much more we have to give you. You ought to join us next Saturday. The show actually starts at 10 to 1. We're streaming. This is Winning at Life. How much more time do I have? 15 seconds. Hey, go to GregoryRicks.com. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Firm offers insurance services. Gregory Ricks & Associates is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for a financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Gregory Ricks & Associates is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gregory Ricks & Associates. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Neither AE Wealth Management nor advisors providing investment advisory services through AE Wealth Management recommend or facilitate the buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. Third parties and guests of the show are not affiliated with, nor do their opinions reflect those of Gregory Ricks & Associates or AE Wealth Management. AE Wealth Management provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of individual advisors are not necessarily the views of AE Wealth Management. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeart radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.